All right, we're back.
Hey,
College Football Insider Andrew Gase is back once again. The Week 13,
12?
right? No, it's NFL Week
Something like
12. I
that.
think it's 13 or 12.
Yeah.
AP poll just dropped. College football playoff pictures heating up. It's getting intense. People are getting upset. Indiana sucks, but they're undefeated. They're gonna beat Ohio State. That's what I'm hoping for. That's literally the only thing. It would just be. I'm hoping for
It
maximum
would
chaos.
it would make it easier.
That it
Yeah.
would make it easier. It would make it easier, but people would be upset. I want instant reactions. I also remind me. I have a thought. It just occurred like 5 minutes before we started recording on how like we could kind of solve this problem of being like the SEC is in the Big Ten, whatever. So remind me to just throw that at you. I haven't had time to really think about it, so it could be really dumb. But
I made a note. I made a note of it.
okay, we'll get into it later. Go ahead. Instant reactions of the AP Top 25.
It's the playoff rankings came out tonight.
Oh,
Not
okay.
the AP. So my first reaction was like, what are they looking for? Yeah. So the
Yes,
first thing that came to my mind was, what are they looking for? Are they looking at record primarily, strength of schedule, strength of resume? And then Reese Davis actually asked the chairman, like, are you looking at more metrics or are you watching the games? And the chairman had the audacity to say, we're watching film. You're not.
Ooh.
You're not. You're not. Because if that's the case, Miami wouldn't be in front of Georgia and Ole Miss, because I think we all agree that Miami and Georgia are 2 touchdowns better than that. Georgia and Ole Miss are 2 touchdowns better than Miami.
Yeah.
I just see too many inconsistencies in the rankings. Like if they want to go off record, why is Penn State ahead of Indiana, and why is Army not in the playoffs? Because Army and them are undefeated. So it's like I don't get that one. And then like say it isn't off record and it's off head to head. Why is BYU behind SMU? They beat SMU. They have the same record. Like what are we doing there? And then like the consistent or inconsistent with teams losing and then being ranked after. Like Georgia loses to Ole Miss and they drop 11 spots maybe. Tennessee loses to Georgia, they drop 3, 4. Like what?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I noticed this week, Missouri lost to South Carolina. They didn't drop at all. Same ranking. So it was like, what? And I don't know that. And then you look at the 3, 4, and 5 teams in the country right now: Texas, Penn State, and Indiana. The best win out of them combined at Vanderbilt.
Which
Well,
is
it's
a
a great
tough
win.
game for some teams.
Yeah. Right.
It's true. It's true.
It's a tough
Actually, that's a
place to
great
play.
win. You want that to be the best win of the best win it could be.
It's such an awesome win. That
Yeah.
is nuts, though. That's
And kind of a hot take here.
it's here.
I am out on the group of 5 team getting an automatic bid in the playoff. Give me the 12 best teams, not the 12 most deserving or whatever you want to do. Give me the 12 best. I think the rankings this year are them overcompensating for what they did last year to Florida State. Because now they're doing the most deserving, not the 12 best.
But
honestly-
wasn't this in play well before that?
Yeah, but like the rankings wise, I don't know.
I agree
I
with the Power 5 thing, and I feel like that's also because we're in the first year of this 12-team playoff thing. I think they'll hopefully
And
sort it
probably
out
the
in next
last.
couple of years.
Yeah, I think they're going to go up to 14 like next year. Because this is insane.
Yeah. What's tough about the group of 5 thing is like it's so fun in theory, but we've had a version of
It's
this.
a participation trophy at this point.
Yes, and we've had a version of this before where it's like Connor Cook and Michigan State get the 4 seed. Washington, all those years ago, not Michael Penix Washington, gets the 4 seed. Cincinnati gets the 4 seed. And it's like really fun. That's awesome. And they get fucking boat raced every time. And the game is not entertaining. Like, what was that Michigan State game? They played Bama, right? Wasn't it like
38-0?
Yeah. Like what? Like that. That's probably what we're going to see here. Now, the
Especially if they
counterpoint,
play Ohio State.
right?
I mean,
but
they're going to have
that's
to
what
go
it
to
would've been
Ohio
tonight.
State. They're going to be like 30-point dogs. Like the thing
Right.
you
That's
can
what
be
it
rooting
was.
for is that they cover.
I think the imaginary line made was like 20.5 or 21.
yeah. Now, the
It was
counterpoint
wild.
is that Boise State played Oregon and almost won. So it's like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong, and I would love to be wrong. But I think a lot of pressure is going to be on this first year. Like, if Boise State goes into Ohio State or whatever it ends up being,
Yeah.
and
Well,
is like
right now,
really competitive,
I think-
and it's a really awesome game, and Ashton Genty is
Indiana.
awesome, then yeah, right now it's Indiana. But so that's kind
well,
of
right,
that's kind of
like
awesome.
right now, Boise State would have a bye.
No, I don't think.
They
I
would
think
have
they're
a bye.
automatically the 12.
No, they showed it in the bracket. Right now, they would have a bye because they're one of the 4 highest ranked conference champions
Oh my god!
in the bracket. It has
Oh
a
yeah,
bye
you're
if
right.
you
They're
find
the
it.
projected
Yeah.
number 4 seed.
Yeah, which is insane.
That is
Insane.
so wild. That's so.
They need
wild.
to. So next year, when they go to the 14-team playoff, they need to switch it to the buys are the 4 best teams, not the 4 conference championship. Because if fucking slapdick Colorado gets a bye and like Georgia has to go on the road at Penn State, you tell me that that's fair?
Yeah.
Like, or Penn State has to go to Georgia? Like, Penn State's
Again,
fun too.
all these ideas were like cool in theory, and we all were like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
that sounds good." It's almost immediately in practice, like probably not the best way to go about.
Also,
this.
how is if BYU has 1 loss and wins the Big 12, they're the 12 seed, but if Boise State has 1 loss and wins whatever the Mountain West, whatever it is, how are they the 4 seed? What is that about?
Exactly. So many inconsistencies in the playoff
Yeah.
rankings. Like this is my favorite one actually. So they were showing like good wins and losses. Texas, good win at Arkansas. Tennessee, bad loss at Arkansas.
Yeah, yeah.
That? Like what
Yeah.
are we doing?
Yeah,
Like you can't have that. They have like they're making it known that if you schedule cupcakes but win your games, perfectly fine. Like you
Indiana.
exactly. They have played the easiest schedule in all of Power 4. 106 out of 106. It's insane. And then the whole narrative this week now is like, well, if they play Ohio State close, do they deserve to be in? It's like,
Yeah.
what? That's
Yeah,
bullshit. You're going to leave, like, say Indiana gets blown out by Ohio State and gets in instead of like a 2-loss Texas A&M or shit. I think a 3-loss South Carolina team beats Indiana by 21. Like,
I also think like playing them. I don't know, like playing them close and
that's
losing.
a crazy statement. Oh,
Yeah.
well, if they play whatever
know.
Ohio State close, they should be in. That shouldn't even be a case. Like, that shouldn't be an argument.
If
That's
they
like,
had
good.
if they had one good win, I would say yes.
Yeah, and they don't.
But they
They
just
don't.
don't.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Michigan by 5 points at home? It's like,
Yeah.
Which,
what?
to be fair, I was thinking about that. To be fair to them, preseason, they were playing the defending champion Michigan as like a team that was terrible last year. They scheduled Michigan and then Ohio State the next week. Like, to be fair to them, they weren't expecting this Michigan team, and they
Right.
took care of business. So, like,
Yeah.
it's not like preseason Michigan was ranked.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I get that, but like when you don't play one of the top 7 teams in your own conference,
yeah, that's wild.
No, yeah,
So wild.
yeah.
if they go out and get boat raced by Ohio State, they should not be in the playoff.
Agree.
Shouldn't.
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
Otherwise-
Ohio State just lost their center.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Seth McLaughlin?
I think he tore his ACL in practice. I just
No
saw
way.
something about that.
Good.
But I've
Fuck
also
that guy.
I've been like wrong on 3 things already, and we've been talking for 5 minutes. So
Like that. I just want to know like what their criteria is because we are trying to crown the best football team in college football. I think a team that can win the national championship is going to be left out. And you can call it SEC bias or whatever, but and everybody's saying this year like, oh, the SEC is down, they don't have a great team. I think all of the SEC teams that have 2 losses are pretty good and might be great. Like, what team is going to line up and go play Tennessee right now, who's not even in the playoffs? I wouldn't want to play them. Kidding me? That D line, Dylan Sampson, Nico, if they can get healthy, they have elite wide receivers. That offensive scheme is so hard to stop. There's been one team in college football that's been able to stop it consistently, and it's Georgia. So it's like,
Gase, what do you do if
like
A&M beats Texas?
then we'll play Texas A&M. In the
No,
SEC
but like is
championship.
Texas out?
Oh yeah, they're done. They're the Indiana of the SEC right now. Like they
Okay.
have again, their best win is Vanderbilt, which again, it's kind of a tough place to play. Neither here nor there. But like if they lose another game, and I think if if they lose another regular season game, they shouldn't be in it. That's the other thing that like is going to have to be brought up. Say Alabama plays whatever. Alabama plays Texas in the SEC championship. Hypothetical. They lose Alabama. So 10-3. You going to put a 10-3 Alabama team in who played in their conference championship, or are you going to put one loss Indiana in?
Yeah.
They probably put Indiana.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you line up and play them on a neutral site, Bama by 20.
Shouldn't have lost to Vandy.
Well, again, somebody's going to get punished for playing in their conference championship. Like say Ohio State beats Indiana, goes and plays Oregon, loses again. You going to put 2-loss Ohio State in or 1-loss Indiana?
Oh.
So are you going to
tough.
punish these guys? Are you
It's
going
tough
to
to
punish
punish
these guys
Indiana,
for
though.
playing?
It's tough to punish Indiana for taking care of business.
But if you lose to Ohio State, you're not taking care of business. It's the one tough game on your schedule.
And it's going to be Florida State 2.0 if Indiana doesn't
Exactly.
get in, you know.
That's why.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
but, like,
I get it.
Ole Miss
better
loses to
right
Kentucky. That's not taking care of business. Like,
Yeah, but they're not going to be punished for playing in the SEC championship because they won't be in it. So, like, what
no,
I'm
I'm
saying
saying
is,
like versus Indiana. I don't know.
I know, but are you going to punish these teams for making their conference championship and then losing?
I know, true. That's a good
I
point.
think I heard something
that
preseason that they weren't going to do that.
Like Lane Kiffin has said in his press conference that SEC teams are hoping they don't get into that game because then it'll affect their playoffs.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like A&M, like we could get whatever A&M. Same thing with Texas. Say Texas loses, they beat A&M, but loses to Alabama in the SEC championship or loses to Georgia in the SEC championship. Are you going to put 1-loss Indiana or 2-loss Texas? It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like again, but it goes back to the same thing. Do we want the most deserving or do we want the 12 best?
No, I mean, if there was the 4 team last year, they wouldn't take Indiana.
I think it'd be Indiana this year. I think it would be. I really do. I think Indiana.
Yes, because this committee has gone on. They haven't gone on the record to say it, but they've shown it. Playing hard games don't matter as long as you win your games.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Georgia should have never scheduled whatever Clemson at the beginning of the year. Clemson
Georgia
should
just join the ACC.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what somebody asked Kirby about this today. He's like, going forward, knowing what you have seen from this committee, are you going to stop scheduling it? And he was like, well, no, I'm going to keep scheduling for our fans.
See, that's
Not
what's tough
because-
is like they're setting a precedent and I forget the word. Like they're setting a precedent of like we shouldn't play awesome games. Like we shouldn't get the Texas versus Georgias, and we shouldn't. So that's dangerous.
Texas and Notre Dame just scheduled like a home and home. Why? It doesn't benefit either of you guys. Schedule fucking Northern Illinois. Touchy subject for them. But if you're Texas, schedule that. Like Alabama plays like Ohio State in a home and home coming up. They play again. Florida State's kind of in the dumpster fire, but at the time when they scheduled it, it was good. They also play Notre Dame too. It's like a ton of these teams have like great games for home and homes coming up. Cancel them all. Schedule Mercer. Schedule Middle Tennessee State. Go undefeated. You'll be in. Yeah.
It's dangerous. That is a dangerous precedent set by.
Especially with this 14-teamer thing now. It's like, like Miami. Like what?
They need to develop some type of fucking like mathematical. And I know they used to have it for like the BCS computer.
BCS, yeah.
Stuff. But like they need to develop more of that. So there's actual math that goes into like the losses. You know, wins and losses, like both. It's like how much should a win really count for?
Yeah, weight it differently.
You know, like I think.
All right, do you want to hear my theoretical I came up with?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
it's don't be mean to me because I haven't really thought this through.
Got it.
What if the regular season looked like the first 6 weeks even, all the Power 4 teams play, like Indiana plays 2 SEC teams, 2 Big 12 teams, 2 ACC teams, and then you go into your conference play. Like everyone from each Power 4 plays all the other Power 4, like 2 teams from each other conference. So then you can see how the conferences stack up against each other, and then you play other good competition instead of Alabama playing the School for the Blind week 1. Like those are just random
Yeah.
games to stack your record. What if you actually played 2 ACC teams? They'd blow them out still probably, and then you know that you're better than the ACC.
I don't think you could get every team to agree to that. That's the only issue.
Who gives a fuck? It should be like, then don't be in the ACC. Go join Mountain West. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I know.
But in a fantasy land, I do think that would be a pretty sweet.
Yeah, what I
because
think
then you
they're
see
gonna
the
end up
matchup in
doing-
Indiana. You don't have to go play the top dogs in the Big Ten, or not
Yeah.
the Big Ten, the Big top. Like you could play the worst teams in the SEC, but if you lose those games, then you know. And everyone's saying that the depth of the SEC is way better than most of the teams in any other conference.
It's unbelievable.
But if like
It
say like the worst teams in the SEC go out and lose a game or two to the ACC, then it's like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah,
And then you can
I
have
know.
a really accurate kind of like weighing the losses a bit more when it comes to conferences, at least.
Yeah. And then you go to your conference play and see who's the
Yeah.
maybe you still give the conference bye, and then you'd know who has the best record. Like,
See, that's tough because playing in the SEC is so much harder than playing in every other conference, especially this year. Like it seems like any team can beat anybody, and like
Yeah.
you can call it call it SEC biased, but like the ACC is 9-9. Versus other power conferences, the ACC is 9-9. Big 12 is 5-9. Big 10 7-9, and the SEC is 10-5. So it's like, and like there's some good wins in those 10 wins. It's not like we're going out and beating like Washington or UCLA, which we did. I mean, Georgia beat one of the best teams in the ACC by 30 points. So it's like, and then Oregon goes on the road to last week, struggles versus Wisconsin. Alabama went in there and beat them by 35. So it's like, I just need more consistency in what they're telling us. And I just want to know, like, what are the metrics or what are they going off? Like, say that.
Film
And
is
that-
crazy.
The
they're watching
audacity
film
to
is
say that.
nuts. Yeah.
That the audacity on them to say that is absolutely crazy. Because if you were going to rank these teams based on film,
I
it
like
would-
Indiana's players better than Georgia's players.
Yeah, that is insane. Like I think if
that
you
is
were to
crazy.
rank them on film, which I watch a ton of college football
Mm.
and I like know what's going on,
Mm.
I would rank them as Oregon, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Penn State, Miami, Indiana, Notre Dame, Boise State, Colorado. That would be my 12.
Was it who's the top 5?
I thought you said you didn't want Boise State in there.
You have to have them in there because they're the group of 5. Oregon, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama is the top 5.
I can get behind that ranking. That ranking.
Is it like
yeah.
that's what blows my mind is that Texas, Penn State, Indiana, their best win combined is Vanderbilt by 3 points.
That's wild. That's wild. I think
In a game which Vanderbilt probably should have won. They had the ball twice to go score.
college football needs a commissioner, and we have a guy for that job. Would you
Yeah,
do that
Nick
job?
Saban. Oh. No.
You don't think so?
No.
No.
I don't think there's a amount of dollars that you could put on there. You're like the most hated man in sports.
Well,
It's
it's very
insane.
humble of you. Yeah, very humble of you.
Which I don't. They have to actually. There is a commissioner in college football. You want to know his name? His name's Greg Sankey.
Is okay.
He's the SEC commissioner.
Sorry.
That's right there. That's why you wouldn't get the job. Bias.
Right. You're biased. Yeah.
Is it really biased when you're right though? Like, who wants to play the SEC? Nobody.
True. All right.
Like,
No, it is bias when you're right, because that's like saying you like the best like student in your class. If you're a teacher, you like the best student in your class because he's smarter.
Mhm.
Like you like
I'm
him more
just
than all
saying,
the
like,
other kids.
like these guys aren't
No
like these
shadow
other
of a
like the Big Ten isn't lining up to schedule at the SEC. They're not.
All right.
I know, but soon enough, this is going to become one giant college football thing, and that's what I'm saying.
It's going to be a super
Everyone
league.
should have to
And
play
I think
everyone.
they've already
Like-
discussed it. They've
Yeah.
already discussed it as like a super league, and that's what you have to do because now you have the transfer portal, which is free agency. You have NIL, which is contracts. It only makes sense, and it's kind of it might suck, to be honest with you. Like
I
it'll
think
be
my
cool.
idea was actually pretty sweet.
It's a good
They
idea.
need to do like some sort of challenge where you have to play like I don't know how you can rank up opponent that is like
Yeah.
equal to you. Like
Yeah.
but like the hoops does it perfectly with the Big Ten SEC challenge. Like we play
Yeah.
UNC, Auburn plays whoever, Duke maybe, I don't know. Like you have to find like a metric or something to line it up. So like Alabama would play Ohio State, Georgia plays Oregon, Ole Miss gets Penn State. Like, and again, we might see that come the playoffs, and I hope we do because I have faith that the SEC will back up everything that I just said. Because I think South Carolina getting left out of this is going to suck because I honestly think they can compete better than some of these other teams for a national championship.
They've been great. They've been really fun all year, especially going in there. I don't want to go in there.
Exactly. I don't want to play them, period.
Yeah.
North Sellers threw for 5 touchdowns last week versus a pretty good Missouri defense. Like, where did that come from? They run the ball great, and nobody gets after the passer like they do.
Yeah, they have that.
They got weapons on the outside. Their safeties are great. Like, I would not want to play them right now. And if you think about it, they got 3 losses: Ole Miss, Alabama, and LSU. And they should have won that LSU game had Lenore Sellers not gotten hurt. So if you throw them in there, like, I think they're a better team than Colorado, Boise State, Indiana. I think they would beat Miami. Notre Dame, I think, is a good game.
Maybe Boise State goes on a run. All right, we're out of time. Any more things burning that you want to get off your chest? Do we hit them all?
I want to say I love the playoff because these debates are so much fun.
I love them.
All the hypotheticals are amazing. Like no one would be talking about Indiana if it was last year. I mean, they would because they're still undefeated, but like they're going to lose to Ohio State, and then no one would care.
Yep.
Again, if they win, it makes everything easier.
True, because then they're really good. All right.
Like last year, no one would even be talking about Bama.
True.
Yeah. Well, they go and win
2
the
losses.
SEC championship. I know. Nobody was really talking about it last year, and then they beat Georgia in that SEC championship, jumped Florida.
I know, but there's 2 undefeated teams and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams with 1 loss.
I know, but a 2-loss. Again, they jumped a team that was undefeated last year, and they had a loss. So I honestly think this year's committee is overcompensating for what happened last year. Because now it's like, oh, well, now record's important when it wasn't last year.
Yep.
But to go back to
they made the right choice last year, though, which sucked.
Yes, they very much did. Because they watched the film, apparently.
Yeah, they watched the film. And I bet they watched that Georgia-Florida State game where half their team sat out.
Oh, everybody watched that game because it was like, eat shit, Florida State. They're in the top.
Oh, I have a question. When are these games happening? And is the second round the bowl games?
The first question, I don't know the days, but I know that they nailed it as far as like the schedule.
Because what happens is the New Year's 6 still happening?
Yeah, yes, I believe so. I believe it's I think the New Year's 6 is all playoff games now.
Is the first
that
round?
Might be wrong. No,
it should
I think it's the second round. because the second round we still have what? 12 4. Yeah, 4, then the semifinals, and then the finals. I know it's way later this year, though. Like, it finishes way later. Like, February, maybe.
Okay, so it's on that end of things. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
They should bump the Super Bowl back a week so they have President's Day, the day off, the Monday, which I think they're going to because they're going to add a week.
I know they nailed the dates, though, like Clint said.
Sweet. All right, thanks for joining us.
Championship weekend is 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. So then the rankings come out that Sunday.
Interesting.
I will be at a championship weekend game.
So maybe it is the first round. That's the New Year's 6.
Yeah, maybe. I
mean, it was before.
Yeah.
It's incredible how long the gap is.
I know. That's one of my favorite days in sports.
You have to have college football on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. That is meaningful college football. Yep. They nailed it. Yep. Like, how awesome was that to watch the ball drop and then the Ohio State kicker fucking hoodwink?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I was at the Harrington's house.
All right.
I think it was quiet there because
do they have 2? Do they maybe structure it like half of them are on New Year's Eve, half of them are on New Year's Day? Maybe
that would make sense because the Rose Bowl is always going to be New Year's Day, and I know that's a playoff game.
Yeah, that's probably how they did it. All right, cool.
You have to, that again. They nailed it last year. That was perfect because you had like an all-out dogfight on the Rose Bowl, and then the night game was just bombs over Baghdad.
So sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
All right. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Show.
That was fun.